is it? Tuesday today. Finishing getting this set up. Today we're going to be talking about the pre-listing packet, what that looks like for you guys, what it's all about, the 5 touches on how to reduce cancellation, having an appointment, and talking about friends and family for a listing. So things to cover. I'm kind of going to dive right into it here. So all right. So pre-listings. So one of the key ingredients in pre-listings is how you don't get a cancellation, what it looks like. And a lot of agents don't do pre-listing questions, don't do pre-listing packets, and don't set themselves up for success before they even go into the talk ingredients of what that all looks like in a pre-listing. So that way it helps you reduce the opportunity that you're going to get canceled on an appointment. So I'm trying to work with this camera here, so I do apologize. So if you have questions, throw them up on Facebook so that way I can answer them. Any question, I don't care what it's about, even if it's the entire listing presentation, you certainly on what that looks like. But more importantly, today we are going to be really diving the pre-listing. So with the pre-listing, it's very important that you guys understand what is needed to go into it. How many of you do have a pre-listing packet? How many of you have that? Obviously, I can't tell whether or not if you do or not do it, but in a pre-listing packet, it's very important that you have yourself set up so that way you can send information over to your clients. So for our pre-listing packet, we have our team brochure, property report, and RPR. The most important ingredient that we have in our pre-listing packet that a lot of people do not put into it is a seller net sheet. And I'm even going to make a note on here, seller net sheet, because we're going to go back to it. But the seller net sheet is so, so important. And a lot of people don't put it in there because they're scared. And we'll talk a little bit about that. The other thing is your testimony, maybe sales that you've done. If you're getting you could do character references, but something in there to talk about yourself. So make sure that your pre-listing packet has that information, the MLS, maybe some information on the market analysis of the property. So you can add that to your pre-listing packet. All right. The pre-listing packet needs to be delivered prior to your, all right. We count it as a touch, but it needs to be delivered prior to appointment. In the pre-listing packet, there's several ways that you can get to them. The best way to get it to them is to literally go to their door, knock on their door, and give it to them. Hey, here's a pre-listing packet of information I want to give to you. I'm really looking forward to our meeting that we're going to have tomorrow at 6 o'clock, and I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to review some of the material and information that we have. Part of the pre-listing packet is property disclosures, mineral and gas, especially for ourselves. Paperwork, you want to give it to them beforehand, because a lot of the questions that people say to me is, well, how do you get your appointments done so quickly? Well, that's because I already given them information prior to it. I'm not, giving them all this stuff that they need to have right beforehand. So I just want to also make sure I have it set up on Facebook as well here. Okay. So you want to make sure that property measures, mineral, gas rights, all the information that they need in reference to the pre-listing packet that you have. So with the conversation piece is you also sometimes might have to email it to them. Okay. So the best thing to do is knock on the door and give it to them. You could email it to them, and you also can mail it to them. Those are the 3 main ways to be able to do it. And you want to make sure that they get, or you have your appointment. So that takes care of the pre-listing. Why is the pre-listing packet so important? Is because we have to create 5 touches. Okay, so if you're taking notes, here's the most important thing. You want to have 5 touches of being able, the 5 touches that you have. Sorry, there's a lot going on right now. So there's 5 touches that you do before you go to the appointment. The first touch is your initial conversation that you had with them. Okay. The second one is in reference to giving them your pre-listing packet, making sure that they have the pre-listing packet. The third one is going to be confirming your appointment. In the most important one, I always forget this one because I just added. I listened to Rick Ruby convention, and that one is the honor call. So make sure you understand the honor call. The honor call is the most important call. The honor call is confirming or is thanking them for the opportunity that they gave you to go meet with them. So you just had initial contact. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm really excited about us meeting. Oh, great. You want to have an appointment? Wonderful. So I will have the meeting set up for you on Thursday at 4:00. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Then what I do an hour later is I send them either a text message or an email saying, thank you so much for the opportunity. It was an honor to be able to set up a time period to meet with you. I'm going to be sending over some pre-listing materials so that way we could take a look at our file and get your home on the, do our research and do everything that we need to do. It was an honor to be able to have that opportunity and have that conversation with you. And we send it on its way, or we had that system. Then what we do is the residential property report, send it over to them to start to look at information about their home and what we see on their home. All right. And then so that's the third touch. So I've had 3 touches with them so far. The next one is going to be, the fourth one is the most important touch. Okay. For those of you taking notes, here's the most important touch. The most important one is the pre-qualifying of the seller. So important. How many of you have been on a listing and they turn you off right away, or you go out there, or they cancel it, or they tell you that, hey, we're not really, I appreciate you being here, but we're going to sell this property in 6 months. What happens if they say to you, well, we've already interviewed another agent, so we're going to go with that agent? And you're like, wait a minute. I thought I was the only one. Well, you thought wrong and you didn't ask the questions. So I'm going to go, those of you who want my pre-qualifying questions, but just put your here on my Facebook or send me a message on my IM through Facebook, and I will send you over our pre-qualifying questions. All right. One of the main things that we've learned from our pre-qualifying questions is I've learned them from Mike Ferry as well as Jeff Glover, is what that looks like. So that way, specifically what you're going to ask. Now, there are a couple things that people will say, like you got to ask every single question and you ask them in the order that they come through. Vary a little bit around that just because it varies on my conversation of what I'm having with them, but I'm going to touch base on the main ingredient questions, and I'm going to do a little role play here so you could hear what the pre-qualifying sounds like, because the pre-qualifying is the most important. I'm not too sure if I said enough most. I will not go on a listing presentation unless they pre-qualified, and that goes for my team as well. I won't go until I'll always say, like, hey, did you play? Nope. Well, I'm not going. Okay. So here's how that comes with the pre-qualifying. Ring, ring. Hello, Mr. Seller. How are you doing? Good. Hey, just want to touch base with you. I'm really looking forward to meeting you and your wife tomorrow at 4:00. Do you have a couple minutes? I have a couple questions I need to go over with you. Sure, Brock, not a problem at all. Great. This should only take about no more than 5 minutes. But it's really important for me to be able to get this information so that way I can present the best about your property and get myself aligned correctly with my team. Okay. So the first question I want to ask with you, and this is the most important question, everybody, is if you feel absolutely confident and comfortable with us after we meet tomorrow, are you ready to hire myself and my team? Okay. And I pause. Okay, write down next to yourself, create that awkward moment. Don't answer the question, you gotta let yourself be uncomfortable and create the pause. Mr. Seller, just wanted to tell you that if you feel absolutely confident and comfortable with presenting you, is this something that you and your wife will be moving forward with and ready to, hire me and my team? Crickets, let it go. Why is that question so very important? Is because it will give me their objection. Okay, I will say it again. It will give me their objection. Not too sure, Brock. Depends on the price. I don't know. We have to talk commission. We're not ready yet. We haven't found. I don't really know you are. Like, I don't know. They're going to come up with something. Okay, great. Well, I will make a note of that. So that way we make sure that we address that when we come see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Okay. So it's very, very important that you ask that question right from the beginning. Next. No, you didn't mention, depending on what they say. So you want to validate what they said so you can move on to your next question. So my next question is typically, well, the opportunity to meet with you at didn't have agents you're interviewing. Okay. I set the stage. I'm coming from confidence. I don't care. Or they might say, well, I never thought about interviewing anybody. Oh, right. Wonderful. Great. So that should be a lot easier for me. Okay. I want to set that stage of making sure that I go through these questions of asking if they want to be interviewed. Now, if they catch me off guard and they say, well, we're interviewing 3 people. Okay. Oh, wow. 3 other agents. Awesome. I'd love that to be able to hear that you guys are being very proactive. You find the right to sell your home. When are you meeting with them? Okay. When are you meeting with them? I need to set the stage to find out when I am in order of the interview process. Okay. It's very important because I'm going to find out some more information about their personality. And I'm about to ask some questions about their personality because it's going to decide when I want to situate myself for the. So, don't know the DISC, I strongly recommend DISC. Okay. If you don't know your DISC, you need to make sure that you do, because the questions I'm about to ask the other person, the seller, is going to be part of my DISC analysis for them. Why is my conversion rate so high? Is because I know what personality they have and I mirror it when I'm going into my conversations. So I would say to them, oh, wonderful. So you got 3 other agents that you're interviewing. When are you meeting with them? I mean, before you're in the middle, whenever that might look like. Okay, great. Well, I definitely appreciate that. And I'll make a note of that here, and I'll pretend that I'm scribbling down. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. Seller, I just wanted to touch base with you. Now, I have been able to see, now here's my personality question for me to dictate, because I got to go back to when I'm going to be going to the interview process. So stay with me. I will say to them, now I was looking and make sure that I have your home where I see it. And could you, if you don't mind, just tell me a little bit more about your property? Obviously, I see the pictures, but I would like for you to describe your home. Okay, make a note, everybody. Describe your home. Why is that important? Because I'm going to be able to figure out their personality right now. Do I really care about their home? I do, but at the same token, I'm using it to be able to figure out their personality. So if it's a high driver, a high D, they are going to tell me, it's online, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. We've owned it for 7 years, and I don't know, it's online. What else do you need to know? Okay, driver, direct to the point. This is what it is. If they're I, oh my goodness, Brock, we have the greatest parties here. We really enjoy it. My family comes here every Sunday. We watch the football games. We just had our 1-year-old's birthday. The backyard is perfect for the kids to play. We don't have to worry about it. And then I love the inside. Like, oh, let me just tell you about the inside, the kitchen. I mean, everybody, we just were singing songs and we're playing, and we had happy birthday. Very high. A lot of emotions are telling me about the emotional aspect of what their property means. Now, when I get to my S and my C's, my analytical people, they are telling me to the point like, well, Brock, we bought this house October. It was the week before Halloween, and it was so amazing. Like, and we actually got Snickers. We were able to get Baby Ruth, and we were able to have the greatest come to our house. And I actually was able to install some LED lights. So that way, when the kids came, it was very bright outside. Since then, what we've done is we've installed this, 12cc Sear air conditioning unit. We've done the backsplash. We've done this. I even got the appliance. Brock, do you want to see the paperwork? I could show you the appliance paperwork. Okay. Do you get my point of what I'm trying to get to everybody? It is the analytical. They're very, very analytical. They're be very just about making a decision. It's going to take them time. They want to hear every single agent. They're going to marinate on it. They're going to reverse. They're going to listen to it. And then they're going to make some really, really important decisions. And it's going to take some time. Okay. So with that being said, what takes place is when I find out if they're a driver, I'm going to resurface back to that appointment. Okay. Pay attention. the most important part, because I know as a driver and an emotional person and being a qualified listing agent, I know I can have a good opportunity to sell them the first time that I get in front of them so they can make a decision. So I now know if I find out on Thursday at 4 o'clock that there's two people before me, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, actually, I had an opening in my schedule. I actually could meet you at 11 o'clock. Does that work for you? Now, it doesn't happen every single time period, but I want to set the stage because if they're a driver in a high I know that they're going to make instantaneous decisions. They might be like, you know what? I really like you. I like you a lot. And you know what? I haven't even heard from the other agents. So you know what? I'm going to hire you today. They could make that impromptu decision right then and there because I know that they're a driver. If they're based off of emotions, listen, guys, I can sell your property. I'm so excited to sell your home. Like I can envision all this stuff that's taking place. Like this is going to be pool party. We can do this. I got some video we can do, and we can create all this type of stuff and showcase your emotion of your family. Wouldn't you like that? Oh my goodness. Let's just sign the paperwork now so I can get on it. So that way we can create that this weekend. Oh my goodness. You could do that. Yeah. Here you go. I can create that emotion, not because I'm trying to give them like I'm trying to persuade them in a negative way. Is just I'm reading into their emotion because I know they're going to make those type of decisions quickly. If they're analytical, they are not right that in there. They are not going to do it because they want to go per. I do not want to be in the front of the train for them on the appointment. I want to be in the backside. So if I'm on the backside of it, I'm like, you know what? When's your last appointment? You know what? It's actually going to be better for us if we meet. How about we meet Friday? Is Friday going to be better for you? That way you don't have to feel stressed. And it actually works better for my appointments. Now I look at it because I was trying to jam you in there. But how does Friday at 1 sound? Oh, great. Do that. See, what happens in that case when I get on the back end of the train is I know at the very end that they haven't signed with anybody else. And I know they're going to compare me to anybody else. So my terminology, my questions might change when I'm at the signing. And that'll be another topic for our coaching is, hey, you've talked to 3 other agents. How do I compare and how comfortable and confident do you feel with me to sell your home compared to the other agents? Okay, I'm going to hear their objection. Well, it sounds like I was able to solve all those problems. So are you willing and able to, hire me today for us to move forward? Well, guess what? That opportunity presented itself right then and there by me aligning myself up based off of the question that I asked them of when or describe your home for me. That question is so important because it allows me to be able to figure out when I'm going to go line up for my guys. I'm a football coach. There's play strategies for me to be able to have success in order for me to help myself get up. What do we want? We want the listing. We want it signed. How do we increase it is understanding their personality. And that is done during the pre-listing. That's why it's so important to do the pre-listing. So when I go into that presentation, I'm already feeling confident. I've already asked the right questions. I know exactly what I'm getting ready to do with them. So it helps me get myself in a position. Does that make sense? Anybody that's listening up? We've got people. So thank you. So it's very important that we understand that of where they are. So once I get done, we'll describe your home. All right, great. Well, when can we change I might need to change my appointment or I might keep it. It just all depends. I don't always get to change the appointment, but sometimes the opportunity presents itself and I want to put myself in a winning position to be able to make that happen. So what I do is I go through that. Okay, great. Well, I really appreciate that. I'm glad we got. Now I did send you listing packet. Did you have an opportunity to review it? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. A driver is going to tell me that they didn't have time. They don't really care. They're too, they might be like, I didn't have time for it. Okay. If they say that, you still got to follow back up with and say, hey, listen, if you do get an opportunity, there's one form in there that is the most important form, and that is the seller net sheet. It talks about where I think your house can be listed at. It gives the break. Will you at least make sure that you haven't to look at that one piece of paper before we meet? So that way, if you do have any questions about those numbers, we can, that's the first thing that we'll talk about when I come to your property. Sometimes I might say to you instantaneously, I did, Brock, and you know what? I'm not very happy with those numbers. Oh my goodness. Okay. That is and I appreciate you at least looking at that. I'm not too sure about the price. Nope. That is, well, you know, first thing we talk about when I see you is the price. Then we'll get right to the table and we'll talk about that price because that seems to be a big issue. Thanks, Brock. That's great. Okay. Guess what? The infamous question. I don't like your commission. Wonderful. I completely understand that. That is a very, very important question. A lot of people ask me that question. So that'll be the first thing we talk about is commission. I'm actually making a note of it right now. Commission, first topic we want to talk about. Okay. So guess what? When I go to their house, their objection is already. I can prepare myself for objection than me sitting at the table, especially if you're new, and them saying to you, "I don't like your commission." Okay. So well, I want my commission at 5% because the other agents did it for 5%. Are you willing to do it for 5%? Sure. Okay. If you don't know the objections of commission handling, and if you're going to go sit at that table and you got a driver, guess what? That driver is going to eat you alive. That emotional person is going to put so much energy into you, or the analytical. Well, when I looked at the numbers, the net number doesn't make sense to me, and I just really need to get this, so I can only do it for 5%. Okay, because we come from scarcity that we want that listing, so we will agree to them. But if you're more prepared going into the listing presentation, then you're going to have a better opportunity to be able to answer that question and give them the objection handler going into it. Does that make sense? Everybody get that and see? So got questions, ask away, because this is literally what I coach and I teach my team. So I've heard it and seen it. So now it comes into play where I've asked those questions. I've gotten into the position of, have you seen my pre-listing packet? Do you have any questions? No. If you do, great, take a look at it. So that way you know what what we're going to be talking about. It also helps reduce the time period that I have there, so I don't have to go through all that stuff. Okay. I'm going to accept whatever question they have, and I'm going to say to them, sounds wonderful. Just let me know and I will address that and take care of that. Or that's the first thing we will do when we talk. Okay. Now, the next thing is going to be your price. Is the price that you've picked, if it's a for sale by owner, I'm going to ask that question. Or if not, I'm going to just say to them, now listen, I do look at pricing all the time. That's my job. My job is to come up with the price. When I present price and being the professional in this field, are you going to be okay with what I present to you? Or do you have a price already set in mind that like it has to be at this price? Okay. What I'm doing is trying to see what their negotiation. I'm looking at their thermostat, their financial thermostat of where it is. They might tell me, no, Brock, we really need this net number because we want to buy a house. Okay, if they want to buy a house, then we're going to talk about that. But I'm fishing out more information, so I'm better prepared going into it. No, Brock, we're going to leave that up to you. Wonderful, great. Or no, we're really set up. We're buying this other house, and so we need this number. All right, well, I'll take a look at that to make sure the numbers make sense for you. So that way we can have that conversation, or I can look at that and present that to you the first time when I meet with you. Okay. So all those things are very, very important to make sure that I'm fishing out all their objections going into my appointment. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I really appreciate your time. I wanted just to go over with you. Do you have any questions for me? Anything you want me to make sure that I address for you? Okay. It's important for us to be able to ask that question because they might say something, well, I want this, or I'm really looking for this. Maybe they're going to say to you certain things in reference to, well, the other agent said this, or a previous agent. Because if you deal with it expired and you want to know that going into it, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know you were working with another agent prior to it. What's the most important? Want me to make sure that I address for you that it doesn't repeat itself? Pause, let them talk. Because if marketing is not the biggest thing and they say to you, well, they didn't do open houses, guess what I'm going to talk about when I go to my listing presentation? Am I going to talk about marketing, or am I going to talk about our open house strategies? Okay. I'm listening to what they say. I absorb it. So then that way I can set my to be successful, to have a winning opportunity. Do that. I set myself up. I have a better chance of getting it. Okay. So then I say, all right, thank you so much. Great. You don't have any questions. I'm really looking forward to talking to you tomorrow at 4:00, or thank you so much for setting ourselves up for our new time at Friday at 1:00. Whatever it might be, I appreciate them and I thank them going forward with that. Okay. The final piece, the day of the listing, saying I'm really with you guys, looking at 4 o'clock today, 1 o'clock, whatever the time period is. I'm just addressing it, acknowledging it, and telling them I'm looking forward to meeting with them. Okay. I'm not reconfirming, saying like, hey, is 4 still good? I'm not questioning it. I'm stating it, telling them this is when I'm planning to meet. Okay. That is five touches. Okay. Why is that so important? It's so because at some point, if you do this long enough, somebody will cancel on you. Okay. And if you do a lot of for sale by owners and expireds, it'll be even more of a reason that they're gonna cancel on you. In order to reduce the cancellations that you have with your appointment is to touch them more. I'm going to use the example of divorce, of dating. Sorry, dating. When you're dating and you only went out with them once, is it easier to cancel your next when you only met with them once? Or if you went on 5 dates and then you want to cancel on them, is a little bit harder. Okay. Well, obviously it makes sense that you've had 5 conversations with them. You've went on 5 dates. You spent money. You spent time. It's going to be a little bit more challenging to break up with that person after the 5th date as it is on the 1st date. It's the same conversation when you're when you're going in for an appointment. You're setting yourself up. If you have 5, the chances of you being canceled are a lot lower. So when they do have to make sure that they're canceling or they're going down that path, they might say, you know what, we can't cancel on Brock. Like, he's actually presented the most. He's reached out. He's come here. He's done this. I've talked to him. Like, if anybody, we're not canceling Brock. We at least got to keep him. We got to hear him out. Okay. It helps you not get cancellations on your appointment if you talk to the people more times. So we call it the 5 points. 5 touches you want to have before your appointment in some capacity: emailing, calling, and texting. Okay. The last thing that we're going to talk about here, we talked a little bit about, I did pre-listing, our 5-touch program, the seller net sheet. Why it's so important is because you're going to filter out the objections. Just send it to them, everybody. At the table, our ego gets in our way, thinking that we're going to, the numbers change. They might change when you get there because there might be some more great things about their property, but you need to send them over the pre-listing. You need to send them over the seller net sheet. Start having those conversations. Figure out what the objections are. It's much easier to handle. They might say, like, where did you come up with that price? We were thinking that it was going to be, 700,000 and you only said 400,000. Wow. Where did you come up with that number? Well, we did this, then this. We thought we could just add those so that put it towards the sale price. Okay, well, unfortunately, that doesn't work that way. All right. Or it might be right on point. So that way you feel better going into the listing presentation that your numbers make sense to them. All right. It makes your life a lot easier and you feel more confident going into your listing presentation. The final piece that we're going to talk about here, the last couple of minutes to end on, unless some people have some questions for me, is friends and family. Okay. Here's the biggest misconception that a lot of friends, well, my friend is going to sell me their house, so I'm just going to show up and I'm going to have them sign the paperwork. Sometimes that does take place, but for the most part, your friends and your family especially will feel obligated to use you. Not because they want to use you, they feel obligated. If you're writing notes down, make sure you understand that specifically. They feel obligated to use you. They don't feel that they want to use you. Have to because Brock is my nephew. I have to use that person because that's my whatever great friend. We've been best friends. Okay. It's what you have to do when you deal with friends and family. You have to give them more effort, because it will give you a better reward later down the road. Why is that? Because when they feel obligated and want to use you, you now have a walking billboard. When you attach that they want to use you to an obligation, you will then have a walking billboard and they will advertise about you all day long. So it's so important that you give them all the energy and effort and the work and you really shine on them, because they are going to talk more about you than anybody else. Because now they not only, well, that's Brock, he's my nephew, but he's a freaking really good real estate agent too. It sets the bar to them. Like, I'm treating you at a really, really high level of customer service. And we talked about customer service the other day in coaching, which leads me to this, is you got to make sure that you are giving them extra effort for friends and family, because they will refer you far more than anybody else, because they're attached to you into a certain capacity. So they feel obligated. They really like to use you. It's going to give you more, but you got to treat them the same way. You got to take care of them. You got to call them. You got to make calls. You got to follow up with them. You can't misspell words. You got to be really on point. And so when I deal with friends and family, I've learned the hard way just as much, that I've lost some business from them. And you hear things from different people. It's like, well, Brock was okay. What do you mean I was okay? I mean, why didn't they use me? I don't get it. Or like, you'll find out that they've referred another agent instead of using me, and it's because I didn't service the highest level service to them, because they didn't want their name attached to it. I didn't want to send Brock because, I mean, he really wasn't that good. Like, we had to use him, but I couldn't let my best friend use him. I mean, they're going to be like, what the hell? Why'd you give me Brock? So you got to make sure you set the stage on that and you do the best work you can for your friends and family. All right. So in conclusion, I don't think I got any question, and Axon's working for me here for all these shares. So I don't see any questions unless something came through. Axon, let me know. Seller net sheet, make sure you get it out there. Pre-listing packet, make sure you have your pre-listing packet. Team brochures, information about you, your resume, any of those things, make sure that you have that in there. All right. Make sure you have your resume, the seller net sheet, all that stuff needs to be in there. All right. Touches, make sure you touch them 5 times before your appointment. Okay. Friends, and what do you do for your friends and family? Make sure your friends and family are on point and you're giving them the highest customer service possible. Guys, I definitely appreciate your time. If you have more questions, you want to know about my pre-qualifying, my questions I ask them, how I do the personality, feel free to reach out to me. My office is always open. You can reach out to me at any given point. I am me. If you are interested in knowing a little bit more about our team and what we do and how we do things differently, if you're interested in becoming one of our members in our organization within our team, you just let me know. We have a lot of different things for individuals and for those that want to be, part of our Compass Group team. So we also are expanding. We are in New York. We're looking to go to St. Louis as well. So if you have an opportunity and you want to reach out and there's somebody on here, that's one of the great things about Facebook. It's a national thing. So opportunities for us to grow as well and understand some of my scripts and my coaching as well. So I appreciate everybody's time, appreciate that are on here. And if you need anything, you know how to reach out to me on Facebook and we'll go from there. All right, guys, have a great, what's today, Tuesday? Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you guys Thursday at 1:30. All right, thanks so much.